right after Halloween, we have Dia de los Muertos that's celebrated largely in Mexico. My family used to celebrate Dia de los Muertos, and if someone doesn't know what that is, I'm so excited to have like my fellow Hispanic sister or Latin American sister on here. As you guys know that I'm Mexican, and it's, first of all, you don't get to see too many women, bold Latina women in ministry. So this is just exciting for me anyway to have you with me on the broadcast. But I always get asked about the Day of the Dead, that November 1st, the day after Halloween. It's a similar thing where they think that the veil is thin all the way on the other side of the world, by the way, all those years ago. So this is a demonic ritual, a demonic night that's happening all over the world. The devil does this on purpose, and they say the veil is thin, and we're going to remember our loved ones who have passed away, and their spirits are going to come up, and they build altars and they build shrines to remember their loved ones that passed away. And so what are your thoughts on Dia de los Muertos, on the Day of the Dead? Is that also, I believe it's a celebration of the spirit of death as well, but I would love your insight on that holiday.
You know, I think one of the reasons why Mexico specifically has so much death and so many things going on in the country is because they are inviting the death. This day is literally, you are celebrating the death. And people say, oh yes, but I'm just remembering my ancestors, or the people that, like, Catholics do that too. Like, we used to do that too. We used to literally honor and celebrate and do the rituals thinking I'm just honoring my ancestors. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, why are we mixing and celebrating death? The Bible make it clear that we as humans, that we shouldn't communicate with those who have passed. There's no interaction with death. We shouldn't be doing that. And and the Bible is also clear that, as I was saying before, there is a separation. And we see in Luke 16, in fact, when the rich man dies and Lazarus went to heaven, the rich man asked Abraham to send Lazarus to give him something to drink. And he also said, like, please send us someone to speak to my family on earth. And Abraham said that this cannot be possible. Why? Because there is a separation between your world and my world, and this cannot be done. So who do you think is actually coming to visit you during that day? Do you think is your father, is the spirit? As I said before, that is not possible, because there is a separation, and it cannot be possible for them to come here. So it's not your family. Those are familiar spirits, spirits that have been in generations in your family, and and they know how you eat, how you dress. Why? Because those specifically spirits are assigned to families for centuries and generations, and they know the story of your family. So when you are inviting them, they are just coming, but actually it's not your mother, it's not your father. So this day for me, like, recently, actually, this week, in fact, I was on Instagram, and I follow a place here in my city where it's like a restaurant, and they do drinks and all of that stuff. And I saw that they went live. When I click, I literally saw a person dressed as the death with the face and all of that. And I just stayed because I was curious. I wanted to see what the person was going to say. Wait, I don't have doubt that that person was a witch. I literally don't have a doubt. When she was there, she invited everyone to come around. They have an altar with the candles and the dead people, and some Mexican dead people that are, that passed away years ago. They have an altar. At the same time, they have like a way, a kind of like with lights and candles going all the way up. And when I started to listen to her, she literally said, I invite all of you, but she was talking so sweet. I invite all of you to please come here and just listen to what I'm going to say, because we are going to open up to celebrate death. I was like, are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me? And she was like, this is a tradition, but we just want to celebrate everyone that has passed away, and we want to invite the dead to come to our life. I was there, like, in the comments, like, what are you talking about in my city? I was so frustrated. And people don't realize, when you are exposed to that, even if you go to a place and they're doing something that you know in your spirit that's not right, run from there, because you are entering into the atmosphere of whatever they are celebrating, whether it's death. So when the portal of death is open, let me tell you something, it has the legal right, the enemy has the legal right to come. So that's why my heart cries for Mexico, because one of the reasons why we see, like, it's probably one of the countries in Latin America with death, murder, mafia, is insane. Drug addiction, poverty. Why? Because the nation has been sanctified to the death. That's one of the reasons why we see that. The same thing happens in IT. I don't know how to pronounce that. That country in the Caribbean island, you know, they have a statue
Haiti.
of Satan in the center of the city. Haiti, sorry. They have a statue in the center of the city saying, this nation belongs to Satan. What are we doing on earth? Why do you think there's so much death and poverty happening in that place? Because our nations have been given to the demonic, and what happens is that when you give them the keys of your nation to the enemy, all of these things enter. That's why me as a prophet is, hey, where are all the prophets of my nation? Let's raise up to take back what the enemy has been trying to steal. So we shouldn't be celebrating death.
No.
Any type of death.
I had chills. Like, I never thought about that before, but it makes so much sense that there is so much death and poverty. And when you look at Haiti too, I remember Haiti years ago was destroyed with, floods and earthquakes in New Orleans with floods, and these port cities by the water have so much witchcraft going on, because we know the marine spirits and all of the witchcraft. They take a lot of power in these port cities by the water, and I mean, gosh, it's just it's ridiculous. It's unreal. If you're Hispanic, if you are Mexican, if your family has celebrated the Day of the Dead, if you have called up your ancestors, you need to get deliverance. You need to pray over your family. You need to pray. You need to come out of agreement with those familiar spirits and cut them off from your bloodline, and come out of agreement with every generational curse, because those things are really passed down. And it's not a joke. And so, when we talk about these things, it's crazy. You have Santa Muerte, where they literally worship the saint of death.
It's crazy.
The Day of the Dead. There's so many different forms that the spirit of death takes to try to infiltrate Latin America and Hispanic culture as well. And, we can celebrate and we can remember our loved ones any day of the year. Just like you can eat candy any day there, you can remember, you can post a picture. My grandfather, he was my best friend, and he passed away a little over 2 years ago. And sometimes I just like to look at pictures that we took, and it makes me happy, and I know I'm going to see him again in heaven. We don't need to build altars and do all of these things for the ones that have passed. And that's where I have an issue with parts of Catholicism too, because you build shrines and you build altars to people, and we can worship people, and you try to raise up spirits and call up spirits, and that's idolatry. That's not okay for us to do. We don't need to get fixated on pictures and building things and candles with people's faces on them. That's ritualistic. It's idolatry. That's not for us as children of God. We have the Holy Spirit inside of us. You don't need to pray to a saint or pray to your dead loved ones. They're, like Julie said, they're in heaven. They have passed on. They're in the afterlife. Right? So they don't come up. There's not ghosts and people wandering around. Whenever people communicate with the dead, that's what the Bible calls necromancy. It's evil. It's demonic. They call up these familiar spirits and they talk to demons. They're not talking to their loved ones. And so